Hi, everybody. Namaste. Welcome. My name is Sadhana. I am a tarot reader, and I have some tarot courses as well too. If you're interested in what I say resonates, there's some courses below as well as some other ones that are not below that are in the shop on my website. If you're interested, I am this year going to put more energy into exploring the Tarot de Marseille. And I'm starting in a very sort of gentle way, big picture, contemporary Marseille. I'm going to do lots of side by sides, general sort of sweeping observations before I get into the details and the nitty gritty of it. And so I'm going to do on Wednesdays lots of side by sides and comparisons of decks. And today we're going to look at the Tarot de Maria Celia. And this is a really cute little contemporary Tarot de Marseille in a tin. And this is by Leonard Narcisco, right? Is that his name? Yes, Leonard Narcisco. And this is one of the US Games decks in a tin. And then the other deck we've looked at the last couple of weeks. This is by Zara from Kitten Chops, and this is the Pip Speak Tarot. And so, yeah, so Maria Celia is really little, and we're going to look at it. Now, I was just thinking the fool with the face up towards the sky, that I can't tell you which version of the Tarot de Marseille that is from. That is quite unique, interesting, and characteristic of a particular Tarot de Marseille. And I wonder if in the Tarot de Maria Celia, if there are other characteristics of that deck as well too. So that may be something I will have to come back to. Yeah. Okay. So let's go through and look at the cards. All right. I think when I'm looking for a contemporary Tarot de Marseille that I'm choosing it because perhaps I don't like, or I'd rather not have the primary color palette. One of the things I do want is the deck to be true to the tradition. And I think both of these decks do quite an incredible job of that. Like they don't take too much artistic license. And this is the card that I put on the thumbnail. There's something about that relaxed nature of the papes in the Tarot de Maria Celia that I find really appealing. And both of these deck creators capture something in the stars, the gaze. I think they're really beautiful. I do like to look at hands in decks, and I know in the Tarot de Marseille, hands as well as body position are really important. Eyes. And if you look closely at the hands, there's something quite different that's going on. One is really holding the book, and one just has her hands on the book, sort of in prayer. So that may or may not say something to you in a reading. I really like this card, and I don't think I've ever seen a High Priestess card with such a relaxed body pose. And I love his Imperatrice as well too. It looks like she's ready to get up and go and conquer and do something. You know, she's not just sitting there looking pretty. Um, there's a real energy to this deck. And I suppose you could say that um, the deck on the left has held a little truer to the Tarot de Marseille. It's not, um, I mean, Zara's deck is amazing. It's beautiful, but um, it does depart in some ways. And if you're looking for something with this kind of coloring, but a little truer to the Marseille tradition, then this might be a deck for you. And here we have a blend of traditions, don't we? If you look at the canopy of the tarot, coming from different traditions, one has the scalloped edges, one has the curtain. And in Leonard's deck, the box. So the box of the charioteer isn't half of the card, which is really unusual because that I know that's an important discussion about the proportion of the card of the chariot. And of course, we'll get more into that as we go through the year and look at details of the major arcana, but just an observation. La Justice. I had did many years ago. I did a side by side with Tarot de Maria Celia and the Marshmallow. If you want to see those two side by side, I won't do it. I won't do it again. But what I might do is create a playlist of Marseille decks. Right now, these videos are in my general tarot deck playlist. I was so moved by the Tarot de Marseille video that one of my followers shared. And I am going to respond to it. And the reason I'm mentioning it now is the, the three septenaries in the major arcana, how the cards are usually arranged. Well, these cards were arranged in a different order. And the cards, each of the 7 columns represented a planet. And this particular card was in the planet of Mars, the planet of violence and aggression and masculine behavior. And I'm really looking forward to reflecting on the possibility of different planetary energy for all of the major arcana. La Force. And here we have, now this Pondu. Okay, so this one's not too bad because, I don't know. It has those funny hand things, but it's not as bad as some of the older Tarot de Marseille where it looks like the fingers are coming out of the epaulette or something. Um, but yes, I'm going to have to pull this one out and compare it. Oh, and we have different leg positions. Okay, I didn't notice that the leg was going the other way in the kitten chops. Okay. And that may or may not say something to you in a reading. Just observing the journey of these decks. 13. And one thing that didn't change in these correspondences was that 7, 14, and 21 were, so 17, 14, and 21 were associated with Jupiter. But they still had, they were still a first column. They were still all connected in that way, which is a reminder just how important this whole 7, 14, 21 thing is. Le Diable. He's so cute. And I need to go back and find the article that I was reading about. So it was a discourse on La Maison Dieu, and La Maison Dieu being our body, the body, not not a church, not the institution of God, but the Maison Dieu being the temple of the body. And I need to go back and find that, because I would like to do a whole video on the title of this card. And you know, something that's really nice with these decks is you can read the title. The whole title is there. The numbers are there. You know, especially in the minors, you know which way is up and which way is down, except for a few of Zara's cards. La Lune. Okay, Sun. The twins. And then another dive that I want to get into is how, when the corners here. So if you go back to some of the historical videos on Marseille and looking at structures such as the cathedral at Chartres, where you see Jesus and the four evangelists, and you see a similar, what would you call it? You know, it's a stone carving at the cathedral. That looks a lot like the world card. Well, in the Golden Dawn tradition, when we look at this card, we're looking at Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. However, in some of the Marseille in-depth books, this is, and I mentioned this the other day, this is changed, so it's different. So we have, instead of this being Scorpio, because it's a bird, this is air. So we have the two masculine on the right side and the two receptive on the left side. And if anybody knows when and where this shift happened, or if it's relatively arbitrary, let me know. But the other thing that works is that if you go in this direction, it follows the zodiacal wheel. So lots of research to be done. Okay, I'll go through these rather quickly, except for the beautiful aces, of course. I'll let you have a good look at the aces. And I will eventually have a good look at the history of the yods in the ace. The Maria Celli has a lot of floral in it, doesn't it? It's got a lot of leaves, a lot of ribbon, a lot of embellishment. Um, Even like in the early cards. And sort of the transition that happens in the Maria Celia is I suppose the garden diminishes, right? And you can see that in the six already. But notice what's it's um uh, there seems to be a retaining the discussion we were having last week, and I think that was on in the Friday chat. These seem to be staying longer. You know, like that middle section is not getting bigger. See what I mean? So the power of the swords isn't diminished, which I thought was a really clever observation last week. Valet, cavalier. Those are powerful clubs in the Tarot de Celia. And there's your King of Clubs. Okay. And honestly, I think it's cards like this that may turn people off Pip Speaks. There are many cards that are quite extraordinary, and this is one card that I think it's just a little too cute for the the power of the potential meaning behind the Ace of Cups. I just want to pause and look at this one. So this is different. It feels like the embellishments in the wands were, wow, well, this one's crazy. Um, Maybe it's just not consistent. Something really interesting in that Five of Cups in the deck on the left. Look at the way the thick stem of the plant is within that cup. That's feels really unique to this deck. And you see, yeah, I forgot that I had this deck out a couple of years ago quite regularly, and it's really intriguing the way the flowers and the leaves and the stems and the ribbons and all that work through the the cups and the wands and the swords. And you know, I want to be really I want to let the Marseille be the Marseille. But also here I am seeing a womb. I'm seeing a womb. It makes me think of 7 Venus. Um, interesting. 8, 9. Creative license here with the arrangement of the cups. And then a non-traditional arrangement for the 10 as well. Sorry, I'm wiggling the table, leaning on it. Valet. What do you think? I think this is a good exercise because they both of these decks have been called what, cartoonish, and that may be a criticism of these decks. But I think, I don't know, I like them. I do. And there is something about the creative use of color. And both of these artists have the sword in the left hand. And if you do follow the Golden Dawn, you'll know that the sword is in the right hand. So the wands and the swords are in the right hand. And in the Tarot de Marseille, the wand is in the right hand and the sword is in the left hand. I think that says a lot. Now, I'm also I have many plans. And I'm sure you know, when you open a deck of playing cards, it's the Ace of Swords that's on the top. And the Ace of Swords has a mark on it. I will be also exploring that more. They both have a red central sword. Okay. One thing in the Pips Peaks Tarot is the swords are hard to count. The way that they are illustrated with the silver paint. Seven. I always liked the variety of color in the Maria Celia. It just makes the minors so interesting. And so there's something here that he's intentionally doing. And I don't know if it'd be worthwhile to take time, but look at how the yellows and the reds are reversed in the odd and even cards. 10. Hmm. Okay, King of Swords. And honestly, I am. Yeah, you can just count the handles. It's just because there's a dark background and stuff. But yes, yeah. One thing I'm really happy about in both of these decks is that the artists didn't change the facings. So if I am choosing to work with a non-traditional Marseille, a contemporary Marseille, I don't want to have to remember that the King of Swords usually faces to the right, that sort of thing. I like it when they kind of stick to those patterns. So here is the ace, our final suit, Ace of Pentacles. And it's interesting that neither of these creators put their mark on this card. And actually, I'm not sure on the Maria Celia where uh, where Leonard Narcisco put his mark, because it's not on the shield here. And maybe because it's a US Games creation, he wasn't allowed to do that. I don't know. Five. 6. So in this suit, we're retaining traditional arrangement. Okay, this one I have. Oh, these ones I must have upside down. Let me see. 7. Sorry. When you are reading, and again, I've asked this question before, and I know somebody's eventually going to reply to me. Does it matter? Do reversals matter in Tarot de Marseille? Do you read them? If the cards happen to get upside down, does it affect the way you read? And mostly I'm talking about the pip cards that are a mirror reflection. So if you turned this 8 of coins upside down, other than the Roman numeral, and I can see that it's not a mirror reflection in the tarot, in the Maria Celia, the flowers are different on the top and the bottom. And in the Pip Speak Tarot, they're also different. And the final court cards. Valet. so interesting how there's two coins in these cards. And now this Zara's deck, I forgot. So she has what looks like a girl, right, as a cavalier and a feminine energy. So that'll be a discussion for another video, and that is in Tarot de Marseille. So I have a few other, and we'll look at that and which creators have done that. Ren and Ra. All right, so there you have it, my friends. And the legs are in the same position in this one. It was the Hanged Man, le pendu, that was different. Okay. A lot of interpretation of Marseille pips depends on the visual interrelationships among the elements. I don't pay attention. And I've some readers, it's like the cards. Well, we'll get into that. We're gonna do readings and things like that as well too. But yes, so connecting cards, the flowers and the plants can weave and move from one to the other. So there's that way of reading it. I've seen other readers that paid zero attention to the leaves and the plants and the flowers and things. So there's different ways. I know there's different ways of doing that. I don't pay attention to upside downness, but just what the paths are. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Aria. All right, my friends. Well, thank you. Here is yet another deck side by side. And if you have any further comments, please feel free to come back and leave me a message below. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Take good care. Namaste.